Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today it's the Iowa Corn 400, the second race of 3 in the Final Four, where we come in leading the championship. It was a wild flip of strategy, poor caution timing that really hurt Chase Elliott, who comes in 13 points behind myself. Christopher Bell really benefited, and he had a rough day, turned it into, well, only 12 points behind myself. Meanwhile, Alex Bowman got screwed over by a poorly timed yellow. He's now 29 points out. He is going to need to have, well, a miracle if he wants to fight me for a championship. But that's the thing. We come in with a 12-point advantage over Bell, a 13-point advantage over Chase Elliott. Alex Bowman's going to have to run, top 3, top 4. It was announced as well this weekend, actually, that Chandler Smith is headed to Trackhouse next season. We know he's lost his ride at Joe Gibbs Racing as they make way for Jesse Love to come into that team from Richard Childress Racing, and Chandler Smith will be headed to Trackhouse Racing, which is also expected to downsize from 4 to 3 cars on their team for next season. Nonetheless, here in Iowa, this is a track I always kind of struggle at a little bit, so I knew that this was going to be my weak link of the Final Four, and it was all about just kind of surviving and getting through this race, but making sure we're at least, at the bare minimum, coming out of here with some top 10 efforts in the stages and just having an overall really solid run, as we were pretty happy here in practice with the car. I felt like it was about as good as I could have really asked for in this Tire Pros Cadillac now, and of course we're going to come into qualifying at this point and see where we stack up against our Final Four competitors now as we get ready to roll here off the grid. So really, anything in the top 20, I'll be pretty happy with that now as we take off and kick off our qualifying attempt here. Goal of a 23.119. We're Next Level Racing on board camera there. As I always say, use code GOIN25 for a 5% discount using my link in the description for 5% off on Next Level Racing orders if you're in the USA. Sim racing products from them, from chairs, seats, cockpits, etc. As we come out of turn 4 down the front straightaway to cross the stripe, a 23.230 puts us P17 for the second race of the Final Four. Not terrible, but definitely some work to be done. Let's see where our competitors are. Oh, Chase Elliott's P2, and Christopher Bell not inside the top 10. Alex Bowman, P13, and Christopher Bell, I think we out-qualified him. He's down in P21. His rough start to the Final Four continues. He was slow in Miami. The question is, can they find some speed in race trim here today? Connor Zilish down in P32 there, as you see the rest of the order with Austin Hill all the way at the back. Final Four racing for all 3 series this weekend. It kicked off with the Truck Series as well here from Iowa, and winning that race was actually Brendan Queen over Ty Majeski and Tyler Reef. Cassidy Keat actually had a bit of a rough effort there down in 14th. She won the first race of the Final Four, and of course a race like this not really going to help her out when it comes to the championship running order. However, she only was beat by one Final Four driver, and that was Josh Williams, and you see the updated grid going into the final championship race. She leads by 9 points still over Daniel Hemrick, 11 over Gray, and 15 over Josh Williams. The Amazon Prime Series second race of the Final Four there. Lane Riggs picks up the win over Carson Kvapil and Denny Hamlin. Andres Perez up there in P4, beating a Final Four competitor of Daniel Suarez, who won the first race of the Final Four. So just like the Truck Series, things tighten up just a little bit going into the championship race. And Suarez still leads the points, but his gap is slashed to 4 points over Andres Perez. Purdy back by 14, Ryan Truex back by 15 points. It's going to be a duel between Suarez and Perez from the looks of it. Now, Cup Racing, race 2 of the Final Four from Iowa.
1 race down, 2 remain to determine the champion of the 4 drivers remaining. Gary Owen comes into tonight with the points lead. Who's his biggest threat tonight, Steve?
The 9 car for sure, Lee. Elliott gets around here well. Watch for him to attack that 8th car tonight.
Ready to roll here for the Iowa Corn 400, and like I said, we know this isn't really going to be our strong suit race of the Final Four. This is probably the weak link. It's about survival. It's about limiting the points that we give up, which is not a lot to give up, of course, with a 12-point advantage over Christopher Bell, 13 points over Chase Elliott, 29 over Alex Bowman, who is really going to need to maximize stage points and overall points today and next episode in the finale. Green flag is out. We're racing. Race 2 of the Final Four, led by Ryan Blaney into turn 1. Chase Elliott, the highest qualifier of the Final Four drivers now, as we all barrel off into this first turn, and immediately I'm alongside that Ally Financial Toyota Camry of Alex Bowman. Nearly called it a Chevrolet. Mirror full of Christopher Bell. What does he have here? Immediately lead change. It's actually the 18 of Chandler Smith goes back to Ryan Blaney. However, now as the two Toyotas are scrapping it out, Chandler Smith knows he's got a ride for next season. He's definitely looking forward to that now, as his future was quite uncertain for a little while there. We didn't know, of course, who was going to be out. Joe Gibbs, we kind of figured it was going to be, of course, Chandler Smith, and sure enough, it became official. Chandler Smith with one win this season, out of a ride, but of course, Trackhouse picks him up. New leader, Carson Hocevar, the number 4 to the lead, so close to making the Final Four, and then if he made the Final Four, it probably wouldn't have worked out pretty well because he had that big failure in the last episode, the first race of the Final Four championship round, and that took him out early on. So if he had even made this Final Four, he would find himself in a very deep hole. As now Ross Chastain to the lead as we lean on that 11 there. I didn't realize we were 3 wide with the 18, and I just completely leaned on the back of the 11, who tries to get back to me. Corey Heim not going to be happy about it, of course, as we exit turn 4. Ryan Blaney from pole down to P8. He has really struggled this entire playoff. I thought Ryan Blaney was going to be a potential championship threat. Instead, he struggled pretty well the entirety of this playoff, and not the same speed we've seen out of him in the regular season. Same goes for Christopher Bell. I mean, so strong in the regular season. We went toe-to-toe for the regular season championship. We get to the playoffs, and he starts off the playoffs with a win, starts with a second in Talladega, and then ever since that, he has really faded, and he made it to the Final Four, just kind of, banking on some of those playoff points and doing what he's needed to do. But obviously it quite hasn't worked out, and he has had a terrible start to the Final Four, and he's not looking much better here tonight in Iowa, outside of the top 10, as we're up to P6, running down Hocevar, who's dropped to 5th, Chastain back to the lead, and Alex Bowman's going forward as well. We talked about what that 19 team needs to do. We're not really worried about Alex Bowman at this point in time, but if they find some speed tonight and they carry that into the next race in the season finale, you never know. Don't write them off completely. 30 laps to go here still in stage 1, a very lengthy stage as I go up to the top now, trying to find some momentum to keep myself in front of that 19, but Alex Bowman's quick here tonight in Iowa and has turned himself into a potential threat to run well and maybe even fight for a win here. Now as we look to the inside of Hocevar, we'll pass that 4 car on the exit of turn 4, back up into P6 now as Alex Bowman continues to go forward. He passes his Joe Gibbs teammate of Ty Gibbs and puts himself into 4th behind Kyle Larson, who's still winless with 2 races left on the season, as Chase Elliott's currently fighting with Larson into the outside wall. That's the 4 of Hocevar, and things get worse for Carson Hocevar. That is not the start that he wanted to tonight, and does that take him out of the race? Wasn't 100% sure at this point now, but we'll get ready to go back racing. We gained 1 spot in the pits there as everybody took tires and fuel, and now we get ready to go back racing as Ross Chastain leads the field to green here halfway through this first and opening stage for this second race of the Final Four. Chase Elliott's going to get aggressive. He forces it 3 wide on Chastain and his Hendrick teammate of Kyle Larson to the lead. Final Four, 3rd place in the points. Chase Elliott now, knowing what's at stake, he needs to get stage points over myself as we slide up the racetrack. Here comes Corey Heim. We're 4 wide on the exit of turn 4. Alex Bowman and myself in the middle, and Corey Heim and Kyle Larson are going to be the 2 drivers that benefit from that one. How about Shane Van Gisbergen? 2 races left in his NASCAR Cup Series career, and here he is running up here in the top 10 on an oval again, as Larson now finds himself on the far outside of myself and the 19 Ally Financial Toyota. Bowman cruises right on through, is able to pass me, and Chase Elliott's running away with the lead of this race now, as Larson would eventually now fall into my hands here, and we're trying to pass him on the inside as we exit turn 2, leaning on the door of that number 5. We've had a bit of beef here, of course, with Hendrick recently. Gonna race him a little bit harder than anybody else is SVG. SVG sends it up the inside and slams into us there. Wasn't ready for that, and that cost himself, and it cost me as well. We give up 2 positions to the 50 54 and the 98, and now we're stuck on the outside trying to roll that momentum, and it wasn't working. We found ourselves now under pressure from Josh Berry from Rickware Racing. How about that? The 15 running up here in the top 10 as we crack the outside wall on the exit of turn 2, and now we've dropped to P11 and we're outside of the stage points, and Chase Elliott is licking his chops. He is now leading, and currently as it stands, he is set to gain 10 full points on myself and slice the gap from 13 points down to 3, but we work ourselves back into the top 10 here by lap 33, and now just focusing on going forward. A mistake to hit that outside wall, a mistake with the 97, it's costing us points, it's costing us a potential championship right here. Of course, what happens tonight is what sets us up for that championship finale going into Kansas Speedway next episode to wrap up season 5. Fortunately for me, Ross Chastain is able to actually run Chase Elliott back down and pass him in these closing 5 laps, but the caution strikes again, and it's an engine failure there from the 60, it looks like, of Justin Haley, forcing everybody into the pit lane for a second pit stop already, and a quick sprint for the end of stage 1, which honestly I kind of embrace that, because we needed the caution to kind of catch up to some of these guys and get ready to race them. So I think it's going to be a 2-lap sprint here for the stage as Chastain's in control. Alex Bowman's up to row 2, third place on the inside. SVG there P5, Larson P7 as we get ready to roll. Green flag is back out. Sure enough, it's a 2-lap dash here from stage number 1. Can Chase Elliott maximize his points as we head down into the first turn? Alex Bowman right on the back of that one of Chastain. I'm jumping up to the outside trying to find any position I can, any points we can. It's absolutely crucial that we score right here now as we head down this back straightaway. 3 wide into turn 3. Corey Heim again continuing to impress as we exit turn 4 up to 9th, potentially 8th. 1 lap to go in stage number 1. Ross Chastain in his final few races for Trackhouse Racing before he moves over to drive for Denny Hamlin next season. Leads the way. Kyle Larson's made it 3 wide on Bowman and Elliott, both to move through into P2. Elliott goes from 2nd to 3rd, maybe 4th, as we roll through 3 and 4, back up to P7. Ross Chastain wins the first and opening stage over Larson. Bowman, I believe, got Elliott at the line for 3rd. That is crucial right there. I'd much rather Bowman score points over Elliott, and that's sure enough what happens. Elliott scores 7 points, Bowman scores 8, we score 4, so the gap of course does condense a little bit going into stage 2 where nobody decides to pit. We all get ready to go back racing. So of course the updated playoff grid is going to come up here in just a second as Ross Chastain leads us to the start of the second stage here from Iowa now. Similar lap count, 39 laps in this stage, but the updated playoffs now. Chase Elliott is able to make some headway on myself, and he as well overtakes Christopher Bell for P2, so he's now 10 points behind me. Bell, no stage points, 16 points back. Alex Bowman gains 4 points on myself. He's 29 points behind, 25 points behind after coming in 29 points behind to start this race. So don't rule out that 19 of Alex Bowman, who now takes the lead here in Iowa. Chase Elliott drops down to P5, but he gets back down to the inside, and he is immediately trying to get back past the Hendrick car of Kyle Larson. Corey Heim up into P3. What a race Corey Heim's having again. He continues to get closer to victory lane as Alex Bowman is actually going to jump up to the top and leave the door wide open for Ross Chastain to get back to the lead of this race here now. As I myself, I mean, we've got these guys right where we need them. I mean, we're sticking with the 9, we're sticking with the 19, but the problem is I don't think I'm quicker than Chase Elliott or Alex Bowman. Not really worried, of course, about Alex Bowman, but Chase Elliott being the prime suspect here as I continue to kind of run in this kind of 5th to 7th kind of range. But the problem is, you know, we're having a good day. Running 5th to 7th, that's nothing to hang your head about. But when your championship competitors are running top 3, that's where the problem comes in. Another problem is I'm talentless. I hit the outside wall again as we continue to drop down the order again to P10, but Alex Bowman's joining me. He's been dropping back as well here in stage 2, and now we find ourselves 3 wide in the middle into turn number 3. Chase Elliott has clawed his way back into 2nd position. I'm just looking for an opportunity to get back down to the inside, and finally as we get cleared by the 18 of Chandler Smith, that's the opportunity I needed to get back down to the inside here and start to try and focus on working our way forward again. We've got a lot of racing here in stage 2 Iowa, 39 laps. There's a good chunk of time as Christopher Bell is now almost into the top 10 behind us, but I mean, Christopher Bell, what is going on with this 20 team? The defending Cup Series champions, I mean, are looking like they're going to leave today in a position of where they're just not going to be able to go into Kansas and fight for a championship. It's really disappointing for that team and just not what I think any of us expected, to be honest, as we come through into this Final Four round, as we've gotten back up to P9 and actually looking to the inside. Here now, Crash. The 12, Zane Smith goes around with a tire failure. He collects his teammate of Logano, and he collects it too. I mean, all of Penske just got taken out in that one, as everybody's going to pit for tires and feel maybe a much-needed reset for Alex Bowman, who was tumbling down the order right there. He is certainly going to be in big favor of this caution, as we don't gain or lose any spots, but Chandler Smith overtakes Chris Buescher there and moves himself up to P6. So then, ready to go green for a restart here in stage 2, not quite halfway in the stage, and we're back racing now from the 9th position, as Ross Chastain's been in control a lot here in this race, and he continues to try and lead the field as he exits turn 2. How about Chase Briscoe? How about RFK? You got 2 of them up inside the top 10. Not often we've seen that this season. Buescher having a nice run. Chris Buescher, who missed the playoffs, of course, by just not winning races, has really stepped up his performance overall in the playoffs. So really unfortunate to see him miss it and then just not have the pace he needed, and then you get to the playoffs and he's actually showing really, really good speed. So nice to see, and as well now actually the 98 has taken the lead from Chastain, who's dropped a few spots as he's moved up to the outside lane, as now as well taking full advantage of these guys jumping to the outside, allowed me to get into a fight now with the 9 of Chase Elliott. I had actually briefly gotten ahead of him, but he used the outside to get back in front of me. But we've now passed Kyle Larson, and now Ross Chastain's kind of looking like Alex Bowman in the beginning of stage 2, dropping back. That dominant number 1 Bushley Honda is certainly not looking as dominant as we thought. As out front now, it's Chandler Smith. Chase Elliott's driven all the way up to 5th. Kyle Larson actually got back in front of me and drove up there into towards the top 5 as I would pass the 98 of Chase Briscoe. Positions are always shuffling here in Iowa, just simply because of the different lanes. So you'll see guys run the inside, you'll see guys run the middle, you'll see them jump to the top. And just like that, we were back to the 9 of Elliott and the 5 of Larson, but look who's to my inside as we lean on the 9. Contact there. Alex Bowman's back into the conversation, saying, hey, we're benefiting from that caution. We're back. We're going forward. And now in my mirror, I see, how about Bubba Wallace as well? We talked about Josh Berry for Rick Ware. Well, here comes Bubba Wallace as Elliott's now going in the wrong direction, which is perfect for us. And as Bubba Wallace exits turn 2, he is showing some speed in the Andretti Global Honda. He's going to clear me into turn 3 as we continue to watch positions shuffle back and forth throughout this race. But now Chase Elliott, my closest championship competitor who enters the stage 10 points back, is outside of the stage points as William Byron to my inside here on the exit of turn 2. Shane Van Gisbergen leads this race now in that number 97 Trackhouse Honda. How about that leading? Could he get a stage win? And what is his second final start of his full-time Cup Series career, as Josh Berry passes us now for the 9th position. Less than 10 laps to go in stage 2, and now we're just trying to hold on. I was really struggling at the tail end of the stage for grip, and now we run P10 trying to hold off the 98. It's going to come easy. Caution comes out. We'll score 1 point. It's an engine failure for Sammy Smith that brings out the caution here in Iowa to end stage 2 early. SVG wins the stage. Alex Bowman P7. 4 points for him, 1 point for me, no points for the 9 of Chase Elliott. Some adjustments coming to this number 8 Tire Pros Cadillac as we gain 1 spot in the pits. And we'll take a look here at the updated playoff grid here following stage number 2 as stage 3 gets underway. We're right behind one of our final 4 competitors of Alex Bowman, who's cut the gap now down to 21 points back from myself. Bell 17 back. Chase Elliott gives up a point, of course, and he goes 3 wide behind us there to move his way forward. Elliott 11 points back. He knows he needs to do everything he can to beat me. Alex Bowman absolutely has to beat us with being 21 points still back. You don't want to go into Kansas back by 21 points. That's just not going to be a realistic opportunity to win the championship, especially if you come in behind 3 drivers. But I believe that Christopher Bell is going to be at the bottom of the final 4 following tonight's race here from Iowa. He has just not had any speed in that 20. Miami, not good. Iowa, not good here. Now, however, Chase Elliott, we know Elliott's got a fast car, and he's showing it out of turn 4. He looks to the inside. Chandler Smith leads the way now with 54 laps to go. It's been a fun race. Iowa's always a lot of fun to drive here in NASCAR Heat 5. And like I said before, I tried to fill the Final Four up this season with races where multiple lanes were options. And you can do that in Miami, you can do it here in Iowa, you can do it in the season finale next episode as well, of course, at Kansas. So it's really a great series of tracks for the Final Four, as Kyle Larson back out in front here from Iowa now as he continues to seek that first win of this season after missing the playoffs. Tyler Reddick goes around off of turn 4, tire down, caution's gonna fly. Kyle Busch gets a piece of it, so does the 26 of Nick Sanchez. Yellow out, nobody pits, we all stay out. We only ran a few laps there. Surprised to see a tire failure that early in stage 3, but now we'll get ready to restart here from the 10th position. Row 5 outside, and we are watching our two closer Final Four competitors of Bowman and Elliott running up towards the top 5. The green flag is back out. Kyle Larson's going to lead the field back to green now as we get close to lap 100. 48 laps to go. I see an opportunity to go 3 wide around the outside, try to make some headway on both the 19 and the 9. Larson clears SVG for P2. Shane Van Gisbergen showing up real strong tonight now as we'll pass Josh Berry around the outside. Larson goes to the top. Hello, Alex Bowman. To the lead goes that 19 car, and he's going to bring the 9 of Chase Elliott with him as we're 3 wide across the stripe now as we head back into turn 1, and we continue to try and navigate around some of this traffic. We don't want to watch our Final Four competitors drive away, but it looks like they're going to try and do exactly that. Bowman clear. Elliott just behind into turn 3. Elliott jumps up all the way to the outside. That's exactly what you want to see, because that helps me significantly here now as he is going to give up 1, 2, maybe 3 positions, and Bubba Wallace is up into the top 5 as well as both Elliott and Larson drop to the backside of the top 10 to join myself as Alex Bowman's lost the lead as well to the 17 of Chris Buescher. Contact with the 48 of Caruth. I really tried to shut the door and maybe a little bit too much there, but we keep them straight fortunately, and we maintain P9. Hendrick, of course, I mean, they've had their problems with me recently, and that's certainly another one that they're just going to kind of shake their head at as we're racing hard for a championship. That's the goal. We're here to win a championship. We said it early in the season, embrace the aggression. We're going to do whatever it takes to be a NASCAR champion, and we are continuing to put it all on the line as Bowman runs P2, and both Larson and Elliott have gone forward once again. Elliott back into P3, Larson 4th. How about Bubba Wallace in P5? We talked about how much he struggled with his new team of Andretti Global this season, but really showing up here in Iowa. So is Josh Berry and that 15 for Rick Ware Racing running top 10, as now just like that we've run down the 5 again of Kyle Larson. It's just crazy how quickly things go back and forth here with of course just the different lanes they choose to run, because if they go to the top they really slow down and leave themselves vulnerable to anybody, including myself, on the inside. Now as we have finally passed lap 100, less than 40 laps to go, and we're not too far away from potential green flag pit stops as well at this point. Will we see a caution? Will we see green flag pit stops now as Chandler Smith is actually able to get past me, and Chris Buescher continues to lead this race in that RFK 17 Fastenal Ford Mustang. He will be back in that 17 next season. Can confirm season 60 will still be there as the 31 of Brent Cruz crashes in turn 3 out of turn 4. Caution is gonna fly, or maybe not. No, we stay green here in Iowa as we head down into turn 3. No caution, and Brent Cruz is still stationary on the racetrack. Everyone's checking up. We just passed 3 or 4 cars up into P4, and most importantly, we've just passed the 9 of Chase Elliott. Cruz is still stopped on the bottom. Now he's starting to roll, and he's not pitting. He's staying on the racetrack. Oh my goodness, what are you doing, Brent Cruz? As we're up to P4, and the 31 has stayed on the racetrack. We're going to have to pass him again. No caution still. NASCAR's keeping this green. The 17, the 19, the 97, they all swerve to the inside. We all let off. We get through safely. The 9 of Elliott nearly plows into the back of the 31. We stay green. Cruz would eventually limp his way back around into the pits, but an unacceptable no caution call right there from NASCAR. And eventually that really spread things out, and actually Chase Elliott would eventually run me down and pass me for the 4th position here on lap 108. Alex Bowman, he's doing everything he needs to be doing right now, running P2 over SVG in P3, but I just can't believe that wasn't a caution, and I was really starting to struggle for grip. Look how far away everyone in front of me drove, but now green flag pit stops kicking off. We're going to be one of those as well. I saw Chase Elliott pit. I wanted to be on a similar strategy to that number 9, so we're going to come in, take 4 tires, and feel. And I thought about making some adjustments, but eventually just kind of decided, okay, we're going to keep the car the same here, because I didn't really feel like I could do much on the long run no matter what I did. As we have contact with our part-time teammate, that's Corey Day in the number 7 for Junior Motorsports this weekend. Chase Elliott comfortably out in front. Everybody's flooding into the pit lane. Bubba Wallace in the 28 looking to stay out long as we continue onto the racetrack now, right in front of the 99 of Kyle Busch, who's pitting Shane Van Gisbergen. This is for position. He cycles out right on my front nose, so he had a bit of a slow stop from the looks of it, as Chase Elliott's comfortably out in front of him as we come through turn 1. We're looking for some of our competitors here now as we try to clear the 97. Can't quite do it. Alex Bowman's in the pits. He'll be coming out this next time around. Will we be in front of him? I think we will. And sure enough, through turn 1 and 2, we had eventually gotten ourselves in front of Alex Bowman, who was in the pit lane. So Bowman, a slow pit stop as well. He's down to P8 as we're also now navigating lap traffic. The 94 is actually leading. Parker Retzlaff stayed out quite a long time, and we will unlap ourselves now, so that's crucial. And we're in this little battle here with Ty Dillon, who's a lap down, and we're trying to pass SVG for the position, but we're also bringing Alex Bowman with us. So the 94 still has to pit. We are going to be net top 5, which is fantastic here, approaching these final 20 laps. But Chase Elliott is putting on the pressure as he is fighting for the win potentially if this stays green. And sure enough, as the pit cycle has run its course, Chase Elliott to the lead. We would be P3 over Shane Van Gisbergen, and Alex Bowman had actually gotten himself caught up in some lap traffic and some battles and had now dropped a few spots, fortunately. So Kyle Larson has gotten in front of him as we run in third. Chase Elliott leading, putting on all the pressure now as he knows he needs to make up the points. Here comes SVG to my inside. Crash in front of us. This is 60. We barely avoided as we cross across the nose. That is a championship saving move if we win it in Kansas. Unbelievable. That was near big moment. That would have been some damage for sure if we had, of course, made that contact with the 60, and repairs would have needed to be made. Everybody's coming into the pits for what could be the final pit stop and final caution. Right side tires, half can of fuel, no adjustments, and we'll get ready to go back racing here. That was nearly huge right there. We just potentially saved our season. Some drivers are electing to stay on the racetrack, so we're going to drop down to P17 as we get ready to go back racing. On top of that, some drivers that pitted with us only took no tires, just fuel only. Ross Chastain, slow restart. We're back racing here at 16 laps to go from Iowa, and immediately we're going to put the nose 3 wide on the 34 of Eric Jones and SVG. Heim 3 wide with Larson. Bowman, Zara on the outside as well, and so is Chase Elliott. We've got a huge opportunity to get in front of both of them now as everyone's about to go through traffic management. Larson's up the racetrack. We'll go to the inside. Slow on the inside. It's the 6 of Christian Eckes leading over now Bubba Wallace in the number 28. Bubba Wallace being one of the cars that stayed on the racetrack. And now that 28 of Bubba Wallace is to the lead here as we look to the inside of the 19 as we exit turn 2. He's side by side with that RFK Ford Mustang 98 of Chase Briscoe as we continue to now follow through. Chase Elliott's making good progress, unfortunately, through this field. He would eventually drop down to the inside right in front of Alex Bowman, and of course I'm continuing to follow the 19 forward as we look to the inside of Gibbs, and now an opportunity to get to the inside of the 33. Not quite close enough to make a move there, but we know this will put us into the top 10 as if we can pass this 54 and pass that 33. Chase Elliott continues to go forward, but he's been passed by Alex Bowman. We now pass Jesse Love, and right on the back of the 94 of Parker Retzlaff here as we head down this back straightaway. We'll look to the inside here into turn 3. This is a move for the 9th position, and now the question is, how far can Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman both get through this field with 10 laps to go? We continue to go forward, making a pass for 8th on the 6 of Eckes, now trying to run down Corey Heim and Chris Buescher, but Bowman and Elliott are both in the top 5. And how about Bubba Wallace, who continues to lead the way now as we see we're losing points specifically to the 9. Alex Bowman's all the way to the top. Elliott to 3rd. He might have a chance to win this race. He's to the inside of the 18 of Chandler Smith, and as they barrel off into turn 1, Smith still clear of the 9, keeping him back in 3rd. Obviously, he's trying to help his teammate of Alex Bowman as Bowman drops down to P6 behind Corey Heim, and now I'm right to the back of this 19 as we come to lap 135. 6 to go. Elliott's still struggling to pass Chandler Smith, but now he's officially to the inside. Bubba Wallace, the leader, all the way to the outside as we'll clear the 19, and Chase Elliott's going for the lead as now Bowman would cross me over and get back to my inside with 5 laps to go. Elliott now right on the back of the 28 of Bubba Wallace now, and he might get him right here in the next lap or so into turn 1, lap 137. Chase Elliott, you can see it, to the inside of Bubba, and new leader Chase Elliott, and he is about to, if it finishes like this, Chase Elliott's going to take the lead in the championship, but hold on. Caution is out. We run P7, but we're going to NASCAR overtime. This could change everything. It was for the 48 of Caruth. Hendrick is not going to be happy about that tire failure there on the 48, and it might hurt their teammate of Chase Elliott, who's trying to take the lead in the championship. NASCAR overtime from P7 underway. 2 laps to go. Chase Elliott hoping I don't go any further, and he wants to maintain that lead of this race. Into turn 1 he leads over Chandler Smith. Bubba Wallace, how about Corey Heim? 3 wide to the inside. He wants a chance to win this race as we're slipping and sliding on the exit of the corner now, trying to show the nose on the 18. Elliott goes high into turn 3. I get hit from the 17 of Busher. He slides. We're up the racetrack. He's going to slide all the way through the corner. The white flag's not gonna come out. Caution, double overtime on the way. Unbelievable. We just passed Alex Bowman for P6, and look at the replay. The 17 very uncharacteristically just drives into the back of me and unfortunately wrecks himself in the process. And now we're going into double overtime. Chase Elliott was about to throw the win away. He went all the way to the top in turn 3. Hopefully he learned something for himself here as we go back racing. And now double overtime is underway. Bubba Wallace, watch out for him in the 28 there in P3. Alex Bowman's now to the inside. What's he able to do? Heim on the front row in turns 1 and 2 is going to go backwards. Elliott clear easily. We're side by side with Alex Bowman. Down the back straightaway into turn 3. Chase Elliott, he doesn't cover the bottom. Elliott jumps back up to the outside lane looking for the momentum off the corner. Bubba Wallace to the inside. He's going to be clear. Bubba Wallace leads at the white flag. You're from Iowa in double overtime. Elliott high again. Alex Bowman's coming through to gain extra points right at the tail end of this thing as we exit turn 2. Chandler Smith to 2nd. Bowman to 3rd. Elliott drops to 4th. What a choke from the 9. And Bubba Wallace through 3. Off of turn 4. It's going to be P7 for myself, but Bubba Wallace is going to win for Andretti Global. Unbelievable. Here in Iowa. Unbelievable. Bubba Wallace back on top, and Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott 3rd and 5th both outscore us, but we didn't give up a huge amount of points. Christopher Bell, the question is, where does he end up? 18th or 19th, sorry. That's absolutely terrible. He is going to be way below the championship lead going into the finale from Kansas. Our teammate of Hocevar with an early DNF there in last place, and let's take a look at the updated championship standings with 1 race to go for the championship of the Final 4. We lead now by 9 points over Chase Elliott. Alex Bowman cuts the gap from 29 to start to now 18 points, and Christopher Bell now finds himself 29 points behind. You can write off Christopher Bell. Alex Bowman still needs a lot of things to go his way in that Kansas finale. It looks like it's between myself and Chase Elliott to become the NASCAR champion of Season 5. I'll see you guys in the next one where we determine who wins the Season 5 championship. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.